You might think when a man is interested, he's just enjoying the connection. But the truth is, consciously or not, men test women, not in a manipulative way, but in a way that helps them understand who they're really dealing with. When a man is genuinely interested in a woman, one of the first things he begins to quietly observe, often without even realizing it, is her emotional consistency. This test isn't about manipulation or control, it's about clarity. A man wants to understand who you are. Beyond the first impression, beyond the chemistry, beyond the initial excitement, emotional consistency reveals depth. It shows whether your reactions are rooted in confidence or insecurity, and whether you can hold steady when things don't go exactly your way. Here's the truth. Anyone can be warm, patient, and composed when everything feels certain. But attraction deepens when it's tested through moments of uncertainty. Those small pauses in communication, misunderstandings, or disagreements that naturally happen as two people get closer. It's during these moments that a man pays attention to how you respond. Do you assume the worst? Do you overanalyze every little thing? Do you react from fear, or do you respond from self-assurance? When a woman stays emotionally steady, she sends a powerful message that her sense of peace doesn't depend on his behavior. She doesn't chase for validation. She doesn't spiral into anxiety when there's a pause in attention. And she doesn't try to control outcomes. Instead, she holds space for the connection while staying grounded in her own life. This kind of emotional maturity makes a man feel safe, not because she's emotionless, but because she's emotionally anchored. A man might test this unknowingly by creating small moments of emotional distance. He may take longer to reply, seem slightly distracted, or challenge her opinion to see how she handles conflict. He's not always doing this to play games. Subconsciously, he's checking whether her calmness is real, whether she's as balanced as she appears when everything is smooth. Because in long-term relationships, emotional steadiness is what builds trust. When a woman reacts with panic, jealousy, or excessive need for reassurance, it communicates something deeper, that her emotions depend on his approval. But when she can feel those emotions, acknowledge them, and still respond with composure, it tells him she's capable of handling the highs and lows of intimacy. She's not looking for someone to stabilize her. She's looking for someone to share stability with. Emotional consistency doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending to be unaffected. It means expressing what you feel with grace and clarity. It's the ability to say, I felt hurt when that happened, instead of, you always make me feel like this. It's the difference between reaction and response, between emotional impulse and emotional intelligence. The men who are ready for something meaningful aren't drawn to perfection, they're drawn to peace. They want to know that when life gets messy, and it always does, the woman beside them won't crumble under pressure. She'll communicate, stay open, and handle moments with maturity. That's emotional consistency, and that's the quiet test every high-value woman passes without even realizing it. Boundaries are one of the clearest indicators of a woman's self-worth, and men instinctively notice how a woman sets and protects them. When a man truly likes a woman, he pays close attention to what she allows and what she doesn't. It's not about control or dominance. It's about respect. A man subconsciously wants to know if she respects herself enough to say no when something doesn't feel right, even if saying no risks losing him. That moment tells him everything about her value, her standards, and her emotional strength. A boundary isn't a wall, it's a framework that defines how you want to be treated. When a man crosses a small line, maybe he cancels plans last minute, teases in a way that feels dismissive, or asks for something you're not ready for, he's not always trying to be disrespectful. Sometimes he's simply seeing what's acceptable. It's not malicious, but it is revealing. The way a woman responds determines whether he'll rise to meet her standards or start to test them further. A high-value woman doesn't over-explain or beg for understanding when she sets a boundary. She doesn't give a lecture about how she deserves respect. She embodies it. Her tone stays calm, her energy steady, her words simple. That doesn't work for me, or I'm not comfortable with that. These statements, when delivered with composure, carry a quiet power. They communicate, I know my worth and I won't negotiate it. That calm confidence is magnetic because it shows she values herself more than she values being liked. On the other hand, when a woman avoids setting boundaries out of fear of losing him, she unintentionally teaches him that her comfort is secondary to his approval. She starts to bend, to accommodate, to excuse, and in doing so, she chips away at her own value in his eyes. A man might still be attracted to her, but the respect begins to fade. Without respect, attraction alone can't sustain anything meaningful. Boundaries also teach men how to show up. When a woman clearly expresses what's okay and what's not, she gives him a roadmap to connect with her in a healthy, respectful way. A good man doesn't run from boundaries, he's drawn to them. They help him feel safe too. They let him know he's with someone emotionally mature, someone who won't explode or silently resent him, but who will communicate directly. Boundaries are not about controlling a man's behavior. They're about controlling your own choices. You can't stop someone from crossing a line, but you can decide what happens next. You can step back, reevaluate, or walk away, and that's where your real power lies. When a man sees a woman living by her standards instead of merely talking about them, he realizes she's not testing him, she's teaching him how to treat her. And that's when he starts to value her, not just for her beauty or charm, but for her strength, self-respect, and unwavering sense of self. When a man is truly interested in a woman, he listens less to what she says and more to how she responds. Especially in moments when emotions rise or expectations aren't met, words are easy to say. Reactions reveal truth. They show the emotional maturity behind the charm, the patience behind the interest, and the authenticity behind the confidence. Every time something doesn't go exactly as planned, a delayed text, a difference of opinion, a small misunderstanding, a man quietly watches how she handles it. Her reaction tells him far more about her than her compliments, her promises, or her social image ever could. A woman's reaction reflects how she manages uncertainty, disappointment, and ego. For instance, when he forgets to reply for a while, does she assume the worst, lash out, or retreat into silence to punish him? Or does she acknowledge her feelings, stay composed, and let things play out without rushing to conclusions? That difference speaks volumes. The first reaction comes from fear, the second comes from self-trust, and men can sense that difference immediately. High-value women respond, not react. They pause before speaking, allowing emotion to settle so they can choose their words. Instead of being controlled by them, they don't use silence as a weapon or over-explanation as a defense. Instead, they express how they feel without accusation. Something as simple as, "Hey, I felt a bit off when you didn't get back to me. Is everything okay?" shows maturity, openness, and emotional security. That tone builds connection rather than conflict. It tells a man, I can handle the uncomfortable without losing myself. Men naturally gravitate toward women who bring peace, not chaos, not because they want a woman who never disagrees or challenges them, but because peace feels like safety. When a woman reacts with calmness instead of emotional volatility, she becomes someone a man can trust, not just with his heart, but with his honesty. He feels free to be himself, knowing she won't weaponize his vulnerability or blow small things out of proportion. But when a woman's reactions are driven by insecurity, overanalyzing, blaming, dramatizing, it signals instability. It tells him that love with her might come with emotional turbulence. Attraction might still exist, but long-term commitment becomes harder because consistency is what sustains love once chemistry fades. Reactions are emotional mirrors. They show how much control someone has over themselves. A woman who can remain centered in the face of uncertainty sends a message of strength. She's not controlled by external validation, and that independence makes her more attractive than any words she could ever say. A man isn't testing to see if she's perfect. He's observing whether she's emotionally safe. He's watching how she handles life when it's slightly off balance. Because the way a woman responds when things don't go her way determines how peaceful or chaotic a relationship will feel. Her reaction becomes her reputation, and her calmness becomes her quiet superpower. Patience is one of the quietest yet most revealing ways a man tests the depth of a woman's character and the authenticity of her interest. It's not always intentional. Men don't sit down and plan, "I'll go slow to test her." But in the natural rhythm of connection, there are pauses, hesitations, and moments where he might pull back slightly to see how she responds to uncertainty. In those spaces, patience becomes the measure of emotional security. A woman's ability to remain composed, confident, and calm during those times tells him whether she's truly high value, someone who's seeking connection, not validation. When a man slows down, maybe he doesn't rush into defining the relationship or takes longer to text or make plans. Many women instantly feel a wave of anxiety. They start wondering if he's losing interest or testing their worth. But in reality, these moments are simply natural checkpoints in human connection. The difference between a high-value woman and an insecure one lies in how they interpret the waiting. The insecure woman starts to chase clarity, trying to force answers before they're ready. The high-value woman, however, trusts her energy enough to let things unfold without fear. Patience in dating isn't about pretending not to care. It's about caring from a place of calm. It's saying, "I like you, but I'm not in a hurry to prove anything." This attitude communicates confidence. A man senses that she's not desperate for commitment, nor afraid of taking her time to see if he truly fits into her life. That energy draws him in because it feels effortless, genuine, and mature. She's not waiting for him to choose her. She's observing whether he's worth her time. Men also notice how women handle the in-between phases. The quiet periods when communication isn't constant, if a woman becomes reactive, sends a stream of emotional messages, or begins withdrawing in silence to punish him, it signals she's led by fear. But when she continues living her life, focusing on her goals, friendships, and growth while staying open and kind, it shows emotional balance. That's when a man realizes she's not waiting, she's choosing. Patience is powerful because it shifts the dynamic. Instead of operating from anxiety, trying to control the pace, define the label, or push the next step, the woman stays grounded in her own timeline. That doesn't mean she tolerates disrespect or endless uncertainty. It means she knows the difference between slow and stagnant. She gives space for things to evolve naturally. But if time reveals inconsistency, she has the strength to walk away with grace, not resentment. Men test patience not because they enjoy withholding affection, but because patience reveals a woman's inner stability. It tells him whether she values the process as much as the outcome. A high-value woman's patience doesn't come from waiting. It comes from knowing her worth, knowing her boundaries, and knowing that what's meant for her won't require chasing. Only alignment. Confidence without control is one of the rarest and most magnetic traits a woman can possess, and it's something that men subconsciously test for when they meet someone they genuinely value. Many women believe confidence is about always appearing strong, never showing vulnerability, or being the one who decides how things should go. But true confidence has a softer, deeper essence. It's the ability to remain secure without needing to control every situation or outcome. It's knowing your worth so completely that you don't need to force connection, chase reassurance, or manipulate circumstances to feel safe. When a man truly likes a woman, he observes how she handles uncertainty. Does she panic when things don't go her way? Or does she trust that whatever is meant for her will naturally stay? This balance between self-assurance and surrender is what separates high-value women from the rest. Men notice when a woman is confident enough to express what she wants, yet relaxed enough to let him lead. Sometimes it's not submission, it's trust. And that kind of trust only comes from someone who knows she'll be okay no matter what happens. A man might test this unknowingly through small actions. By pulling back for a bit, making a spontaneous decision, or disagreeing with her opinion, not to assert dominance, but to see how she handles a lack of control. The woman who tries to micromanage, fix, or over-explain often does so from fear of losing connection. The one who stays calm, listens, and responds from self-awareness radiates emotional security. She doesn't need to win every disagreement or prove her point to feel valued. Her confidence comes from within, not from the validation of being right or being chosen. Confidence without control also means allowing space for differences. A high-value woman doesn't demand that a man think, act, or feel the same way she does. She knows that harmony isn't about control. It's about balance. She can express her needs with grace and clarity, then give him space to respond in his own way. This makes a man feel trusted and respected, which in turn deepens his attraction and desire to meet her halfway. The beauty of this kind of confidence is that it feels effortless. It's not loud or performative. It doesn't shout, "I'm independent." It simply is. A woman who embodies this energy doesn't chase answers or outcomes. She lives with a quiet certainty that she can handle whatever life brings. That emotional steadiness allows her to move through relationships with both strength and softness, a combination that every man finds captivating. Men don't fall for women who try to control love. They fall for those who trust it. When a woman can hold her standards without gripping the outcome, she becomes irresistible. Her confidence is steady, her energy is peaceful, and her presence feels like home. That's what makes her unforgettable. Not her perfection, but her power to stay grounded even when she's not in control. At the heart of it all, the way men secretly test high-value women isn't about playing games or creating drama. It's about seeking truth. Every subtle test, every moment of distance or hesitation reveals something deeper about who you are beneath the surface. A man who truly wants something real isn't looking for perfection. He's looking for peace, depth, and emotional maturity. He wants to know if you can stay grounded when things get uncertain, if your confidence holds steady when you're not being reassured, and if your boundaries are as strong as your compassion. A high-value woman doesn't pass these tests by changing who she is. She passes them simply by being her authentic self. She knows that her worth isn't up for negotiation, that her emotions are valid but never in control of her, and that real connection can't be rushed or forced. She leads with calm energy, clear standards, and quiet confidence. The truth is, men don't fall for women who play hard to get. They fall for women who are hard to shake. The ones who can love without losing themselves, express vulnerability without fear, and walk away when respect disappears. Those women don't just attract attention, they inspire devotion. So the next time a man seems to be testing you, remember, it's not about proving your value to him. It's about demonstrating it to yourself. When you remain consistent, hold your boundaries, respond with grace, practice patience, and stay confident without control, you don't just pass his quiet tests. You show that your value was never in question to begin with.